guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new IDontWorkHereLady content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled Another Suburban Mom at Hot Topic. I saw the earlier post about the soccer mom in Hot Topic and it reminded me of my own story. One day I decide to go into Hot Topic with my girlfriend. I'm dressed in my black combat boots, black jeans, black shirt, piercings, etc. I'm sorting through a rack of clearance stuff seeing if there's anything in my size. A woman is standing on the other side looking at the wall of shirts. I start walking in that direction when she grabs my attention. "Excuse me, I need to find this shirt in a large and I can't seem to find it." Judging by the fact that she's a middle-aged woman looking like she's on the local PTA, and is currently looking for a Blink 182 shirt, she's definitely shopping for her kid. I take a look at the shirt, find it, and grab a large. I hand it to her and take the other shirt and put it back. "Oh, I must have missed that, thank you so much. I also wanted to ask about this sale you have on denim, is it?" "I'm sorry ma'am, I actually don't work here," I said, smiling like an embarrassed kid. I basically was. She just stops with the same smiling face and says, "What?" "I'm sorry ma'am, but I don't work here. I have no idea about this sale." She puts her head in her hands and just starts laughing. "I'm so sorry. You should grab an application, it seems like they could use you here." I joked with her that I was in there enough to know where everything was and I might just look into that application. She thanked me and walked to the dressing where, surprise, her daughter was changing. All I hear before I walk away is, "Oh my god, you'll never believe what I just did." Very wholesome interaction. 10 out of 10 would help sweet suburban mom helping her kid get her rock on. The next story is titled Forced Racist Rich Lady to Dumpster Dive. Some time ago, I had a job as a runner for a crappy horror movie company. Part of my job as a runner was to go to the bank to make various deposits and withdrawals for both the company and the boss. I went to the bank almost every day, sometimes multiple times a day. The bank was in a really upscale neighborhood, so it was not uncommon to see some really high-end cars in the nearby lot where I parked. The lot was not free if you were just parking to walk the area, but you could get validation if you went to certain specific businesses, like the bank a few buildings away. At this point, I had been at my job for about 3.5 years, which meant I had been to this lot easily about 1,000 times. I knew a lot of the workers in the area by name, including the lot workers. We talked a lot, and oftentimes I could get away with not getting validation, even on days I wasn't working. I was in my mid-20s and was often in shorts, flip-flops, and a merchandise shirt from my company. We didn't have uniforms, so they just gave me a ton of shirts from their movies, so I would have some kind of identifier while I was out working. Now, I should mention that I am Hispanic with pretty dark skin. I normally wouldn't even bother mentioning that, because who cares? You know who cares? Rich entitled people. I've seen my fair share of veiled racism and typecasting over the years. Hell, even at that lot, I've been asked multiple times to park people's cars. They usually apologize and look embarrassed when I point out the guys in the polo shirts and vests with the name of the lot on them, so I usually just roll my eyes and go about my day. Occasionally, I'll get someone rude that will snap their fingers at me, which I extremely hate, or chuck their keys at me. I'm usually a little more of an ass, but nothing major. On this day, I was in a fairly poor mood. My company was starting to do some shady stuff and was screwing over employees. A lot of people hadn't been paid in weeks, and I was on half checks. The only reason I got any money was because the main meat of my job had me driving anywhere from 4 to 12 hours a day, and I can't do that without gas, which they reimbursed me for on top of my paycheck. So on my way to the bank, I bought a strawberry smoothie for lunch, as I knew there was no chance I was gonna make it back to the office to eat the food I brought. I pull into the non-valet parking in the lot, chat with the attendant while I grab my ticket, and start walking towards the bank. I hear someone shouting Jose. "Hey Jose," but obviously I ignore it, as my name is not Jose. I walk past the lady shouting when I feel something smack me in the back of the head, dropping my glasses. I pick up my glasses and turn around and see this red-in-the-face lady glaring angrily at me. I was super pissed. I looked down to see what hit me and, of course, it was her car and house keys. This idiot literally threw her keys at a stranger's head. She was driving some really nice Escalade that looked like it was probably fully loaded and detailed regularly. I pick up her keys and shout, "What the duck lady?" She shouts back, "Didn't you hear me calling you, you ducking beaner? It's your own fault for ignoring me. I'm late for my hair appointment, park my goddamn car." I was absolutely dumbfounded. I tried to explain to her that I didn't work there, but she was not having it. Every time I opened my mouth, she called me something even more demeaning and racist, questioning my intelligence and threatening to get me fired. She started walking away, so I decided, duck it. I hurried up, walked to the restaurant next door and shouted, "Hey, idiot." She turned around, steaming at her ears. I said, as calmly as I could manage, "I don't work there." Then I dropped her keys in my half-full smoothie and chucked it as hard as I could into the restaurant's dumpster. The look on her face when the cup exploded in pink chunks as her keys dropped into a stanky dumpster was absolutely the freaking best. I walked away, flipping her off as she turned and ran back to the attendants. After I did all my bank business, I went back to the lot and saw her shouting at the lot security and pointing at me. The security guard, who of course I knew, asked me what happened. I told him she threw her keys at me, started shouting obscenities, and refused to take them back when I tried to explain that I didn't work there. And also that I threw them in my smoothie and chucked them in the trash next door. He was holding back his laughter when I finished. She tried to get him to call the cops on me, but he explained to her that she willingly gave me her keys and refused to take them back, telling her that she should have taken that extra second to listen to what I was trying to tell her. She then demanded that one of the workers go into the dumpster and fish the keys out, but he just pointed at a sign that said that the lot takes no responsibility for lost or stolen property. He then informed her that her Escalade was blocking traffic into the lot and that if she didn't move it in 15 minutes, he would call a tow truck to move it. She did not like that, and she let him know she didn't through racist ranting and grandstanding. He stood there quietly the whole time and took it. When she was finally finished, he looked down at his watch and told her, "You have 7 minutes, ma'am." Wouldn't you know it, she angrily trudged off towards the dumpster. We had a good laugh about it, but he told me not to do it again. As I pulled out of the lot, I got a nice view of her in the dumpster furiously throwing everything everywhere. I honked and waved as I passed and went about my day with a big smile on my face. The next day, one of the lot guys told me that they ended up having to tow her Escalade. I guess she couldn't find her keys. Oh well, hope the hairdresser didn't mind her smelling like garbage. I'm not sure about the legality of this all, or if I would have been in any actual trouble if the police had been called. She just caught me on a bad day. I don't feel the least bit sorry about what I did though, haha. I guess the moral of the story is don't be racist trash, and also, don't just give your keys to anyone like an idiot. The next story is titled, "What Should I Do About My Neighbor?" Our neighbor has been using our driveway without our permission all this time. We have not said anything to them about it. We are trying to be good neighbors. We had a guest and they had parked their car in our driveway. Our driveway is long, and you could fit 4 cars. Our driveways are next to each other. My neighbor had 2 cars parked at the end of the driveway. She wants me to move my car in order to use my driveway to get access to the front area of her driveway as well as her garage. She could have moved her own cars. She made my guests move their cars. Now, my guest cannot even park the vehicle in my driveway. It was not like our car was parked on her property. What should I do? Shouldn't they at least ask our permission before using our driveway? Isn't that a basic manner? I did not say anything to her. I do not like arguing with people. I am an introvert and I do not feel comfortable talking with stranger. How should I deal with this situation? The next story is titled, "I Work at GameStop." This is a McDonald's. So last holiday season when I still worked for good old GameStop, there was a McDonald's a block away that I decided to go to for my lunch break. We don't have a uniform per se, we just have to wear either a nice shirt or one that we sell and some nice pants with our name tag on. I'm standing in line after ordering my food, and this kid and his mom are standing a couple feet away from me, and I hear the following. "Mom. It's okay, she works there, she'll be able to tell you." Kid. "Yeah mom, but she looks like she's on her break." Mom. "Oh, it doesn't matter. Ask her, so we don't have to waste a trip." I kind of roll my eyes but turn to the kid when he walks over and ask him what's up. He then asks me if my store had some random, obscure PS3 game in stock. I kind of smiled, shrugged and said I had no idea, you'd have to call and ask or go up there and check. The mom gets really huffy when she hears that and is like, we don't want to waste all that time if you don't have it. So if you could just look it up on your phone, that'd be great. At this point my food is ready, so I grab it and just shake my head at the lady. Sorry, but I'd have to be at a computer to do that. Listen, I have to go. I only have 10 minutes left of my break and I haven't eaten yet. Just call the store and they can check for you. I just kind of book it out of there and go back to the store and eat. A little bit later the pair comes into the store and the lady tries to report me to my manager for refusing to help her at McDonald's. My manager just laughs at her and says I wasn't on the clock or even in the store, so she can't help her. We didn't have the game, by the way. The next story is titled, "Look Sir, I do work here, and I am the boss." About 5 years ago, I worked at the International Center of a university in the US. To give some background info, I am an Asian female, 5 feet 1 in height, and though I was in my early 30s at the time, I did still look quite young and was often mistaken for being in my early 20s or late teens. My main job responsibility at the time was the recruitment, training, and management of about a dozen international student interns who worked the front desk. Anyways, we had been swamped that so I hadn't had time to go out to eat lunch. I got a sandwich at our campus vending machine and sat down in the break room. The break room was always cold due to the AC blasting through the room, so I put on a comfy university jacket I kept at my desk just to wear during break. I kept the break room door open to keep an ear out for the front, and let my interns know they could still pop in to ask any questions they want. I had hired a couple new students that month, and they were still learning. A few minutes later, I heard a man's voice yell something along the lines of "No. No. You do not understand. You are stupid. Stupid." The childish outcries exclaimed in a grown male voice made me immediately stand up and rush to the front desk area, without even remembering to take my jacket off. The man was literally wagging his finger at my intern and yelling while almost comically stomping his feet. I interjected his tantrum and introduced myself as the intern's supervisor, gave my name and position, and told him I could assist him with the issue. The man immediately looked me up and down, scoffed a short no. He then turned right back to the intern and asked her to call the supervisor, as he needed to ask someone who actually works here, not just some young girl like the intern who sits there at the front repeating nonsense. It wasn't my FLRST rodeo with unnecessarily angry students, so I calmly gestured at my intern to step away and planted myself directly in front of him. That made him change his rant towards me, saying, "Listen, I know you Chinese want to help each other, but my issue is urgent and so I need to see your supervisor." Supervisor. Cal, makes dialing phone gesture here, him, and he can sign my I-20. Yes, both my intern and I were Asian. But nope, neither of us were Chinese. And I hate when people over-enunciate when speaking to me. My thoughts often immediately go to, English is my first language, moron, as is evident by the fact that I just spoke it to you. Also, it pissed me off that he assumed the supervisor would be male. I did my best to remain calm, however, and confirmed the issue. "Oh, so you are here to get an I-20 travel signature? If you go online and submit the form, you will." "No. God damn it. You don't understand," he screamed. He then proceeded in a rapid rant, saying that I must get a real staff member who actually works there, instead of giving him the same instructions again, because he needed his signed now, because he wanted to go out of town tonight and surely the school didn't want to make him, a student who pays such high tuition, to have to come back on campus just to get a signature before he leaves the country after his road trip? "Do I know how money he gives to the school?" he asked. "Do little girls from China even understand how expensive his luxury trip was to book?" he wondered. "Get the man who can actually help him in here," he demanded. More background info. University students in the US on an I-20 visa need an updated signature on their form every once in a while in order to travel abroad and get back. Now, I hated it when entitled students asked for expedited services just for convenience. Many students actually planned ahead and made their requests on time, and it wasn't fair to expedite the process for whoever asked the loudest. I was actually the one who had the power to approve very limited last-minute travel signature requests, due to real emergency situations such as family emergency, etc. But obviously this guy and his luxury vacation wasn't going to qualify for expedited service just for being a bag. I raised my hand and put my palm out in front of his face for a second to stop his rapid ongoing rant. "Again sir, I am the supervisor in this area." "No, let me continue. And I hear your issue. My intern here has given you the instructions for I-20 signatures already, but you want expedited service simply because you don't want to have to come back tone out office another day to pick it up. Yes? Okay then no, let me continue. Unfortunately, that cannot be arranged, so please go home and submit the online form like all of our F1 students and wait 2 to 3 business days for a response. He started to speak again, but I put my hand out again to stop him, maintained eye contact, and picked up the phone. Also sir, if you do not leave immediately, I will be calling campus security to escort you out of this building for harassing me and my staff members. But before you go, just so you know, I will be noting in your form that you are missing XX days from school. Note that you must maintain your full-time student status for your visa. As you have kindly told us of your planned weeks of absence, please be ready to submit documentation of why this was an excused absence from your classes. Lastly, do not insult my staff again or you will be banned from entering this office again. He stood there stunned for a few seconds, then started to say something again, but I then proceeded to dial the number on the phone. I couldn't remember campus security extension, so I was actually pressing random numbers, and so he ran out. This may not have been the best solution ever to a yucky situation, but this was actually the first time I kicked a student out of the office, so I was a bit shaken up about it. The best part of the story though, is what happened next. My boss at the time, white female in her 40s, walked in a few minutes after, and asked me to come talk to her. I thought I was in trouble for some reason. But she actually asked me instead if everything was okay, because she met a rude international student outside. Apparently, the rude man had run into my boss outside, and he had asked her if she happens to know who is the boss of the girl in there, and if she knew how he could talk to him. My boss had said that she was the supervisor of the woman who works in there and asked if she could help. The man apparently then said something along the lines of how she then needed to find him the man highest up the chain, because his issue demanded real work. He was rude enough that my boss actually did call campus police to escort him out of campus property. She told me that next time, the moment he raises his voice, I do not need to even engage him in conversation but can just kick him out immediately, as he was forewarned that is what will happen next time. The next story is titled Don't Hold a Meeting in the Soda Aisle. I live in an upper middle class suburb of NYC. Some of the people in my town are a bit entitled. Anyway, on to the story. When I work from home I dress very casually, basically sweats, and I don't bother shaving. I find weekdays to go shopping to be the best as the store is not too crowded. I wanted to get some diet soda for the weekend and a well-dressed late 20s, early 30s man was on his phone, standing in front of the soda I wanted. I said excuse me and he rolled his eyes and said just because I'm wearing a suit and talking business on the phone doesn't mean I work here. I replied I just need to get what you're blocking. He huffed, mumbled something about lazy people who don't have a job to whoever he was speaking to and moved over. Now if that was the end of the story I wouldn't have bothered posting, but of course it's not. I heard him mention a type of case in our local state courthouse, next town over as the county seat, in the same practice area my wife and I practiced in when we were practicing law. I closed her firm when she passed, just wasn't the same. Our county is small enough so that if you're practicing for a few years, you know most of the lawyers and judges in your area of law. Still a little annoyed from our interaction I decided to play a bluff. I asked, are you talking about, type of, case in front of Judge X? Startled, he replied why do you want to know? My response it sounds like the case my wife and I are opposing counsel on in front of Judge X in courtroom 123 next week. Dude turned very white very fast. He was indeed talking about a case that was going to be in front of Judge X next week. Fortunately for him I remembered our case was the following week to let him know that he hadn't just royally messed up, followed with a suggestion he may not want to have those type of conversations where he can be overheard. Moral of the story: don't have a confidential conversation in public and don't underestimate some slob dressed in sweats. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.